What episode is this?
I don't know. 131, I want to say. I might be wrong. I don't know. Whatever episode it is, welcome to Officer Timothy Regal, the show that loves the beauty and grace that is Miss Jordine. And she is the most beautiful woman in professional wrestling. Alex, that's something we're not going to talk about.
I blocked the Donald J. Trump of wrestling Twitter, James E. Cornette, and I don't feel bad about it. And I should have done it a long time ago. Fuck him.
So, as we said last week that we spent way too much time talking about Jim Cornette. We're not going to talk about Jim Cornette today because, god damn it, son of a bitch. We're going to talk about some Glow. We're talking about some Glow here in a bit.
We'll give you a spoiler warning for Glow.
Yeah, we'll give you a spoiler warning.
Although, if you haven't fucking watched Glow yet, the fuck's the matter with you?
Yeah, we actually waited a week this time. We didn't get the opening weekend.
I didn't watch it in a week.
No.
It took me 5 days to get through it.
I got through it in about 3.
Well, you didn't have a 2 episode a day.
Yeah, your wife would only watch 2 episodes a day, so.
Yeah.
I watched 6 episodes on my final binge. The first thing we got to talk about.
First things first on the real list.
Big news this week. Started breaking last Wednesday night, I think. Then they kind of, as I said, the snowball started to roll down the hill. And it's pretty much confirmed. We are recording this on Monday. It is approximately 6.
Raw's going to start in 40 minutes. We should have just waited till the beginning of the Raw because they'll probably announce it.
Yeah, they'll probably announce it. But we're about 6:20. The Wrestling Observer reported it about 2 hours ago. It is all but official at this point. WWE NXT is officially moving to Wednesday nights on the USA Network. Starting, I believe, September 18th.
Yep.
September 18th. So that's 2 weeks before the start of All Elite Wrestling on TNT.
Yep.
That's like you said it earlier. If you have the access to do it and you don't do it, you're not a very good businessman.
Right.
So as much as it upsets me that they did it, and it just kind of irritates me that it's happening, I can't fault WWE for doing. I'm going to be honest about this. I don't fault the WWE for doing this. They are counter-programming with the product that audience that AEW is targeting is the most interested in.
Theoretically.
Theoretically. Would you not agree with that?
I would agree with that, although I do think NXT TV is a shell of its former self.
Oh, we discussed this when we talked about TakeOver a couple weeks ago. That there's been what feels like to me diminishing returns on WWE NXT for some time.
I wonder if that is them like kind of not being able to keep their formula because they're turning their wheels because they can't freshen things up.
That's an interesting point. It seemed like for a while nobody's moved up.
Yeah. Who was the last person that got called up?
Ricochet and Aleister Black.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah, that's...
Well, Street Profits.
Street Profits have been appearing on Raw, but they haven't even wrestled yet. The Viking Raiders came at the same time as Aleister Black and Ricochet, too, so...
Okay.
Yeah, essentially that class. And before that, it would have been the EC3, Lacey Evans...
Woof. The Woof. Woof.
Is it wrong that the most successful thing out of that class was Heavy Machinery?
I'd argue Lacey was.
Well, Lacey.
In terms, okay, do you want to talk about it in terms of push or in terms of
match quality?
Match quality.
In terms of match quality, it is definitely Heavy Machinery. In terms of push, it is Lacey.
But I think my dryer disagrees with you. Yeah. So
for a second, I thought we were doing the Hot Take Rumble.
Gosh. I like January. I like January, like end of December, January, when we do the chesties and we do
Hot Take Rumble. The shows are built in, so we don't have to try to think what we're talking about.
Those are fun. We used to do a thing called Pipe Dream Championship Wrestling.
We used to.
Is that officially just dead?
It might come back at some point. What we should do, since we're going to do this thing for the Ringside Chat Facebook group, plug there.
Yeah.
We should talk. We can talk about that maybe a little bit.
Talk about our draft process.
Our draft process in this, but let's get back to NXT for a little bit.
Yeah.
I do think, the fact that, like you're saying, okay, when is Shayna Baszler going to come up? When is the Undisputed Era going to get called up? When is Johnny Gargano, which kind of was there for a minute, and then they sent him back due to the NXT title situation and Tommaso Ciampa getting injured.
This is what I'm going to say. I think part of what worked for their, brand of storytelling, no pun intended, is the constant revolving door with the roster.
Yeah. The fact that you kept things fresh and...
Constantly, because as soon as somebody got really hot, they went away. And people love to watch people climb the ladder. And when there's nobody to climb the ladder, because everybody that's up there is up there, you know what I mean? Everybody's everybody's where they're at on the ladder, and there's no room at the top of the ladder right now because all the same guys are still there.
So here's the question. Who's the last guy that climbed the ladder?
Johnny, Tommaso.
Which, that was 2 years ago. The closest we've had in the last year is Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
And Riddle essentially didn't even have a match on TakeOver. He had a segment, a brawl, but did not have a match on TakeOver. In NXT, if it was 3 years ago NXT,
he'd be in the title slot.
Matt Riddle would probably have the title by now.
I'd be comfortable agreeing with that.
I mean, the thing is, you went from back. You look at Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, the return of Cassius Ohno, Finn Balor, Hideo Itami. When those guys showed up,
yeah.
Whenever anybody showed up new in NXT back in the day, it was a big deal.
Right.
Now, you literally just did a tournament with 8 guys.
Yep. Who basically got debuted relatively cold.
Relatively cold debut with very little fanfare. I will say, I watched it this week.
Means.
The match between
Cameron
Grimes. I literally have trouble remembering. And what is that? Albert Hardy Jr. anymore? What?
Jordan Miles.
Jordan Miles. The ACH and Trevor Lee. The match between those two, Cameron Grimes and Jordan Miles, was actually a great match and was, honestly, if we put it as part of the NXT TakeOver event, probably the second or third best match on that show. Because, I'm sorry, the more and more the more as I get further and further removed, the less and less I like the main event of that show. For reasons.
Well, I didn't like it. I wasn't crazy about it, and I had people argue with me. I said I felt like they had about a 45-minute match, but they had to go an hour, and it just didn't feel like an hour worth of action. It felt like a lot of stalling and a lot of...
Yeah, we're coming off of what was probably one of the least well-reviewed takeovers.
Probably one of the worst post-Full Sail takeovers.
Yeah, since the Full Sail days. I mean, and people, we look at that stuff with rose-colored glasses. You go back, you can go through Grapple app. I actually went back and did a thing where I went through every takeover card because they're all on Grapple.
Yeah.
And holy shit, this match was on a takeover.
Yeah.
You got Enzo and Cass versus Sylvester Lafore and who was the guy that got his hair removed with the hair removal cream? Marcel Bartel? No, that's the guy on NXT UK. Their names are pretty similar though.
Marcel Lafort?
Something like that. But he was with Sylvester
Pepe
Lafore.
Le Pew?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
You're so racist.
How
could you besmirch the French like that?
God, who else? You had...
But that's when it was truly developmental, though, too,
yeah.
Then. And then it stopped being developmental, and it started being Triple H's NWA fan fiction. And am I wrong?
You can call
tell me...
you can call it Triple H's NWA fan fiction. I've seen some people call it Triple H's ROH fan fiction.
It's fucking... Tell me Undisputed Era aren't the Four Horsemen.
No, they
tell me Johnny Gargano isn't Sting.
They kind of are.
There's no kind of about it, Regal.
But the thing is, though, Triple H has done a professional wrestling show now for, what are we on, 5 years?
Yeah.
6 years?
Yeah.
That your hardcore wrestling audience has wanted to watch.
Yeah.
Now my biggest worry, and it's not going to USA Network. It's not going 2 hours, and I'll tell you, as you do the impression, that's the biggest worry. There is no way, literally, and pardon the pun.
Wait. Oh, never mind. You got it.
I
was going to beat you to
There is no chance in hell that if you put a show on the USA Network that Vince McMahon isn't going to want to stick his fingers in it. And when Vince McMahon sticks his fingers and starts to try to stir the drink, it's going to completely screw it up.
Whoa. According to Ryan Satin tweeted this 54 minutes ago. According to sources, Vince McMahon is not at today's Raw in Minnesota for some reason. I'm told Triple H, Paul Heyman, and Kevin Dunn are running the show. Apparently, Heyman sat at the main table with Levesque and Dunn during the production meeting, which isn't the norm. Fuck, do we have a way to watch Raw tonight?
I mean, I got a phone. Unless... Okay, I'll caveat this first. If we're still in the status quo, there's no chance in hell.
Wow. No chance in hell.
That Vince McMahon doesn't try to stick his fingers in NXT. And if you want to see what Vince McMahon involvement does to a decent product, go back to 205 Live about a year and a half ago, I want to say. 2 years ago. And watch the Zo Train era of 205 Live. Where Vince McMahon literally walked in and said, you know what this show needs? Enzo.
God damn.
And almost ruined 205 Live.
Yeah.
205 Live is still recovering this day, and they're doing great. And, I just talked about that NXT Breakout Tournament. 2 of those guys from that NXT Breakout Tournament are already on 205 Live.
Yeah.
Swerve Strickland and Garza Jr.
Yep.
Are in the main event of 205 Live this week.
Right. Which I actually loved the concept of doing the Captain's Challenge match where each guy picked.
I'm going to be watching 205 Live tomorrow night. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Because I think what they should do.
Yeah.
That match should get the entire show.
I can see that.
You don't even do another match. Have that match be. You got 10 guys out there. Have that match be the entire hour. That's what I would do. They're 45 minutes or whatever the runtime they usually have is.
Sure.
Have that match be the entire show. That's what I would do with that episode. You got 10 guys out there. Let them go nuts. Let them do what they do. Let them show what they got. I guarantee you they could put together in that a 45, 43 minute whatever match that would be absolutely insane.
I mean, you could do like if you're worried about them going that long, you could do full entrances and do entrance for all 5 guys, and they'd really only have to go about
a couple promos. You're probably
40 minutes. You can do a couple videos setting it up. Maybe do do open up with a video package announcing what the match was. Then you go to a backstage promo of each captain kind of talking up their team, and you know what I mean,
And you know what else this would avoid?
What?
This would avoid us having to put a Singh Brothers match on the show. Because, god damn it, they put the Singh Brothers back on 205 Live, and they're still fucking terrible.
Where's Jinder?
Jinder got injured.
Oh,
Jinder has been hindered.
Don't hinder Jinder.
I think his bicep hindered him and tore.
Wow.
Which is a byproduct of doing things. That's all I'll say about that. No, but the thing is, now, you just read that report from Ryan Satin.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon not being at Raw.
Yeah.
If that is the case.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon brought in Paul and Eric to run the show.
That was the original report, yeah.
Is Vince McMahon starting to give over control? He is 83, I want to say, at this point.
That sounds right.
So if we'll say 82, 83. I think it's 83. Vince McMahon is 83 years old.
Alexa, how old's Vince McMahon?
Vince McMahon is 73 years old. He was born on August 24th, 1945.
Okay, that doesn't even matter. Even 83 to 73. At 73, you're probably ready to retire. Now, Vince McMahon isn't most people, obviously.
Right.
But he does have the XFL.
Yep.
Which he is dead. I think he is dead set in trying to make that work, because he doesn't. I think that's the one failure that he's ever had. That's
WBF.
no. You didn't let me finish.
Oh, okay.
I think the XFL is the one failure that he's ever had that stuck with him, that he hasn't completely put behind him. Bruce Pritchard's talked about Vince McMahon. If something fails,
Yeah.
he puts it behind him, doesn't think about it again, and moves on.
Right.
I think the XFL is the one failure he had that he hasn't fully moved on from.
Sure.
Because I think he thought that he was going to be successful with the XFL.
Well, I would hope that he wouldn't.
But
Dude, if
you know,
he didn't.
no, I think there were a lot of people, and it's been revisionist history since then. There were a lot of people that thought the XFL was going to be a success.
I'm sure there were.
The TV rating for the opening night was huge.
Yeah.
Then in week 2 they had the blackout that took out the signal.
Yeah.
And then ratings just started to decline because the football sucked. It was bad. That was the problem. It was bad football. I mean, we've seen other football leagues, including a league. There was a league last year, the Alliance of American Football.
Yeah.
That didn't even make a full season.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like the TV deal that Vince got for the XFL is actually pretty sweet. So I'm gonna hope that.
Sure.
Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
If he's given up control, and if he just says, "Okay, Paul, here's your thing,"
Paul Levesque or Paul Heyman?
Paul Levesque. If he says, "Okay, son, here's your shot,"
How do you think Shane feels about him calling him son?
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Sorry.
Yeah, he is 73. Actually, I went and looked it up in another source.
You think my Alexa would lie to you?
No, I just verified. But I thought he was older than that. I really did.
I know, because you call him a psychotic 83-year-old billionaire every week.
Yeah. He's only 73. Still a psychotic billionaire, but
Sure.
But if this is the case where he's going to say, "Okay, Paul Heyman's running Raw, Bischoff's going to run SmackDown," and
I'm assuming if there is an executive director position in NXT that'll go to Vince Russo.
No.
Why not? All the other guys from the 90s are running.
You realize
shows.
you just gave somebody, you said his name. He's like Beetlejuice. Don't do that. I locked the door. He's not coming in. So, yet. But if you do that again, he might find a window or something that's open. But no, the thing is, if Vince is basically going to take an overseer role and let other people run the shows, essentially a showrunner and then an executive, like in Hollywood, you have showrunners.
Yeah.
And then you have an executive producer that oversees all of them.
Right.
I.e., I'll use The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead has a showrunner.
Yeah.
And Fear the Walking Dead has a showrunner. And then now they're developing a third spin-off that has a third show that has a showrunner.
Jesus
And
Christ.
and Greg Nicotero, who's been one of the guys there since day one, he's the executive producer that oversees, and a guy named Scott Gimple, they're the executive producers that oversee the entire franchise.
I didn't know you knew about that.
And Robert Kirkman. Yeah.
Do you watch that show?
Yeah. I am a little bit behind on Walking Dead. I'm about a season behind. I did not watch last season yet. I'm going to catch up when it hits Netflix because it actually comes out on DVD in about 2 hours.
So did you steal one from work?
No, I did not. No,
You
God,
weren't
don't say that.
Like,
No.
well, I mean, like, pay for it, but just, like,
No,
get it before you're supposed to get
no,
it.
that's
what
what
I meant by steal it. I didn't mean, like not pay for
I
it.
had to get it prepped and ready and sorted to go
You're a
out tonight.
prepper?
That's what you saw me doing today.
I know, guys, it is crazy. I went into Walmart today. I saw Regal working. In all the years I've been shopping at Walmart and all the years that I've known Regal, I've never actually seen him working. When I've gone in before, it was amazing. I called the people at Guinness.
All lies, and I told you I don't like Guinness beer. If you want to call somebody to get me some alcohol, you call the people that make White Claw, or call the people that make Bud Light. I'll drink that.
Oh my god, I hate you so much.
What?
White Claw.
Dude, everybody loves them some White Claw. By the way, I did falsely, erroneously report that they were taking down the White Claw display. No, they were just rotating some stock. The White Claw display is still up at my store.
Well, there's no laws when you're getting clawed or whatever.
There's no laws when you're drinking claws. The Game Changer crew, they're going to Japan.
They are. I think they're on the air right now.
Do they have White Claw in Japan?
I don't. Do they? There's no alcohol in Japan, is there?
No, they're very much. No, dear God, no. There is very much alcohol in Japan.
Just sake, right?
No, there's Japanese beer. There are all kinds of alcohol in Japan. Japanese people love them some booze, dude.
Well, there's your final for the King of the Ring.
What?
Who are the two biggest guys on the poster?
Drew and Kevin?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Drew would actually probably be my choice. Everybody, I'm a Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, but
guy.
do you want to see them sticking him with the King gimmick?
You don't have to stick him with a crown and cape.
I really, in the worst way, want King Corbin. Goddamn, pal.
I mean,
he used to be a baron, but now he's a king.
I mean, like you said it best. Because I was saying I wanted anybody but Baron Corbin. You came up with a reason why we would want Baron Corbin. If you're going to make him wear the stupid king...
The giant purple cape.
A giant purple cape over that night manager at the Applebee's clothing.
Yes.
And an undersized crown tilted on his overly bulbous head. And him carrying a goofy-looking scepter that looks like a sex toy.
Yes.
I would absolutely love that mental image.
You know what I say to that, Regal?
What?
Eating good in the neighborhood.
Now you know what we say to that.
What?
It's good shit, pal. Good shit.
It's good shit, pal.
No, so here's the thing.
Damn.
So now, can we play devil's advocate for a second about NXT? Can we talk about the reasons it is good that they're going to USA Network?
I think there are lots of reasons why it's good they're going to USA Network.
They're getting 2 hours.
They are getting 2 hours.
Which, I mean, dude, there are guys, Keith Lee, Damian Priest.
Yeah.
That might see TV once a month.
Right.
There are guys that are in the PC that haven't even sniffed TV.
So my question is...
Go ahead. Who's the kid that we saw at NXT?
Oh,
90s rapper gimmick.
Yeah. Shit. It's
Darius something?
Well, no, I don't think it was Darius.
Derek something?
It was some weird name. Hold on. Keep talking.
But yeah, the thing is, there's a whole group of guys at the Performance Center that haven't even made it to TV yet.
Right.
And hopefully this is going to, being 2 hours, it's going to open up some opportunities. And I mean, we've seen already, and in certain instances, guys from the main roster, if there's nothing for them creatively, moving back to NXT is not a bad thing. Tyler Breeze, I think, has been completely rejuvenated.
Yep.
I'm happy he came back. Dude, Fandango wrestled in one of the NXT TakeOver, the matches that they filmed and then showed this week. Dango looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that guy's always been put together, but he looked leaned out, absolutely shredded. Looks like all of his injuries are behind him. And if NXT is a way...
Denzel
Desjardins. A kid that we saw at the Moline House show, or the Davenport House show. And so you say Moline House show.
I know.
The kid that we saw at the NXT Davenport House show that really looked good in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And looked like he's a very charismatic kid. I'd love to see him.
Eric Bugenhagen was his real name?
Yeah, and they changed it again.
Rick Booges.
Yeah, they changed it. And he disappeared. He's disappeared.
Yeah, he's not on TV anymore.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I originally said I hated that gimmick, and then I saw it live, and it was kind of like you with Orange Cassidy. Once I saw it live, I got it, and now I loved it, and then he disappeared.
Yeah. I wonder if that's not... Do you think we're going to get some sort of PC Evolve show on the network to replace NXT?
I think Evolve is going to take the spot. I think that's basically what they're going to
filter. Then they're going to filter in a lot more PC guys into Evolve.
Yeah, I think they're going to filter in more PC guys. You're going to see some outside guys on Evolve. Austin Theory and Santana Garrett, who were both under WWE contract, they just reported to the PC.
Yeah.
So, and it is in the post show, because one of the things I do listen to pretty much every takeover is the pre and post show conference calls that Triple H does.
Yeah.
And he said in one of those that Austin Theory is still in Evolve for now. So obviously there is they've signed Austin Theory. I do have a friend at work who actually is a old family. They're like her family is best friends with his family. They're from the same town.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
where's she from?
I cannot remember, but she was super excited, obviously, for him. I always kind of say that he reminds me of every early 2000. He looks like he belongs in Deep South Wrestling, because he looks like every guy that John Laurinaitis would have recruited.
Really, Theory?
Yeah.
I don't see that at all.
But I mean, dude, you look at him. You know what? He looks like Chris Benoit. People don't realize that. I think he does.
I think you're on crack.
But either way, the one thing I will give Austin Theory. Did you watch the promo he cut in the backstage interview set at Takeover?
No.
Oh, he cut a promo and posted it on YouTube.
Oh yeah. I did see that.
Absolutely killed it. I mean, just this swarmy, I'm better than you. Basically, essentially, almost did MJF's gimmick. Not that he's rich, but just the I'm better than you and you know.
And you know it.
Yeah. But the thing I will say for Austin Theory is, as a heel, because he started out as a white meat babyface, he has grown into that heel role.
Yeah.
He has one of those faces you want to punch.
Right.
You want to punch
have that
him.
in common.
What?
Y'all have that in common.
Oh, fuck you. But no. So NXT going to 2 hours, and I think the women's division is definitely going to benefit.
Yep.
Because you want to talk about guys, men at the PC that haven't made TV. The women's side is probably even worse.
Yeah.
And I mean, and obviously you just had Tegan Knox come back from injury.
Oh, she's back.
Yeah, Tegan Knox is back.
Tegan Knox
is back. Dakota Kai is close. Which, like I said,
are they both going back to UK though? You think?
You could, and the thing is, you can interchange. I think, obviously, they've made the comment Pete Dunne's going to stick around in NXT for a while.
Yeah,
I think they're going to keep him on the US side. I think he's a guy that can be a top, maybe even feud with Cole. You can send Tegan and Dakota back to. You can send them to the UK. You can do stuff with them over here. You could bring Ring Comp over to another brand if you needed to. A lot of that
what
stuff.
What does that do to NXT UK though?
I mean, I think that would hurt NXT UK right now, but I'm saying down the line.
So here's another question that just popped in my head. This is all hypothetical, obviously. Do you think so say theoretically they start putting Evolve shows on the network, which I think is plausible, but they don't do any kind of weekly Evolve TV show in that NXT type slot. So my question is, do they start sending more people from the USPC over to the NXT UK tapings?
So here's what I'm going to say about Evolve.
What?
Where's the home base of Evolve at?
Florida.
What else is in Florida?
I know. That's not my point.
Okay.
My point is, so then I'll ask you this. Do you think they're going to start doing Evolve tapings at Full Sail for a weekly show? Or do you think they're going to keep their same format with their numbered shows touring and just put the focus on NXT UK?
You could go either or.
Okay.
And also, there are two. We're focusing on Evolve. There's two other companies that figure into this too.
Evolve or
Progress and ICW.
Yeah.
In the UK.
But then that's 3 UK shows on the network.
But I'm saying there is content that they can use to fill that NXT slot.
Okay, is it weekly, though? Is it a weekly episodic format, or is it just going to become like an IWTV now where it's just indie shows on the network?
I do think they're going to come up with something, whether it's another type of developmental show, whether it's... There's going to be another show on the network because you still need something to drive subscriptions to the network.
Right.
And if you lose... I feel like NXT was your biggest... Outside of pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Your pay-per-views are your biggest draw.
Are they, though, or do you think it's the classic content? Because how many people do you know that have a network subscription that don't watch the current product?
I know a few. But I do think that for your... And again, keep in mind, Alex, I've always said... the funny thing is, the person who says this is the guy you blocked on Twitter today. Wrestling is almost like a solar system, or kind of like the Earth, where there's the core, the hardcore fans.
Yeah.
Which obviously, if we're doing a podcast and if you're listening to this podcast, that is where you reside.
I don't think I'm a hardcore WWE fan anymore.
But you're a hardcore wrestling fan, and you'll watch just about anything.
God, don't I know it?
Then on
like it's a good thing.
Then in the inner crust, you have watches WWE every week. They're probably excited at this point. They're probably excited about AEW because they know AEW is going to be something new, something exciting, and it's a big league wrestling promotion. Then on the outer tier of that, you've got the people that they may flip Raw on every once in a while. They'll maybe go watch a WWE pay-per-view at their buddy's house. Then you got the ones that they may watch WrestleMania every year. But as you go out, we obviously, and especially, I think somewhere close to the dead center of that inner bubble is me, who, spends more time watching wrestling than I probably should. And for me,
I would only say that's true because I know how much other shit you watch.
WWE NXT and the classic content is the main reasons I have the WWE Network. The people on that second tier and the people further out, if they have WWE Network, that's probably for WWE pay-per-view. But for the most part, the people that live in this bubble that I think we tend to reside in, you're going to have those outliers that do subscribe for the classic content and primarily for NXT and 205 Live. But
Did you know 205 was on Hulu?
Is it?
Yeah,
well, it is.
Said that the other
it
day.
is internationally syndicated, so that is a possibility. Well, so is NXT. So
I knew NXT was on Hulu,
and that's why I'm not really worried about NXT going to Fox Sports because it is on.
It's
Hulu.
not going to Fox Sports
Or going to USA.
Yeah.
Because that slipped up because I think the original idea was that it was possibly going to Fox Sports.
And did you see the article that got posted today in Ringside Chat saying that Fox is not happy that it's going to USA?
So the rumor is that Fox Sports has a huge deal with the Big East.
Right, that's not
conference.
the point. Fox Sports is pissed that they went to USA instead because they want to be known as the home of WWE now with the new SmackDown deal.
Because they couldn't get a night. They couldn't clear a night during college basketball season.
They could clear a night, I'm sure. It wasn't the fucking night that WWE wanted.
Okay, so that's
because any
USA
WWE apologist who's out there, and I'm trying not to be negative, but any WWE apologist that's out there saying that this isn't a response to AEW, they would have done business with Fox. I think they probably would have rather done business with Fox than USA. Feel free to disagree with me, but they also desperately wanted to be on Wednesday night.
Oh no, this is 100% counter-programming day. Their attempt to counter-program.
Right, but even if AEW wasn't a thing and they were going to Fox, I think it would be a possibility that they would try to get NXT on Fox. On a Fox channel.
Now, I will say this, and keep in mind, I hate WWE apologists. I think the gears were set in motion for the 2-hour move and moving to a network a long time ago.
I do too. I think it having to stay on Wednesday is a response to AEW. I don't think this is a fresh idea.
And I think the plans got accelerated because of AEW.
Yeah, sure.
Speaking of other WWE news,
yeah,
a person I am a fan of, Our buddy David Bix. David Bix's band.
I thought you hated Bix.
No, I love Bix. It's Hollinger that hates Bix.
I know Hollinger hates Bix, but I thought you didn't like Bix because he reported things that made wrestlers look bad.
No, well, I don't like the fact he does that sometimes, but
even though if it's true and is journalism, but whatever. Anyways,
Bix is one of the few people that honestly fully covered the Michael Elgin situation. So
yeah,
which I thanked him for. No, Bix said on the Between the Sheets podcast because we've everybody knows the WWE Network, the app change and all that, and it sucks. Did you see the Hidden Gems went back up?
I haven't tried to watch WWE Network since the first time I tried to watch it after they changed it, and it pisses me off because it's confusing and I can't find anything.
Hidden Gems went back up. They have slightly tweaked the layout. It is getting better. It's still a work in progress. Apparently, here's the deal. They had... do you remember about a year and a half ago when they switched companies?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. The company they left is the company that had created the design that we had.
Sure.
They had a certain amount of time that they could use that design.
Well, they had to change it.
Basically because it was that company's intellectual property.
Really?
Yes. Since they created the code, they only gave the WWE a certain amount of time, and when they switched, WWE paid them a fee. They had a certain amount of time that they could use that design and that layout and that code. Apparently, the new design, there are rumors that the code, essentially, they weren't quite ready yet, but they had to go.
Yeah.
So that would explain a lot of basically, it's like we went back to launch.
Sure.
There were buffering issues on SummerSlam for a lot of people, ourselves included. But how much of that was the WWE Network, and how much of that was we were in a bar with public Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Which your with your signals in situations like that are kind of spotty. The issue there, and this is deep in the weeds business stuff, is they only had a certain amount of time they could use the old design. They had to switch to the new design, possibly before it was ready. That explains why some of the stuff went away that you had before, why the design is kind of clunky. They are getting better with it. They are tweaking it. It's probably going to take a little bit of time. There are certain aspects I like. I will say last night, we talked, you called me last night, I was catching up on NXT UK. Because I have this weird thing where I let NXT UK episodes get built up, and then I have to try to catch up. There's a new feature now. If you're watching a show, and you pull down, and you can actually, and there's a segment menu, so I could actually skip backstage segments that I didn't want to watch and just watch matches.
It's the best parts of NXT UK.
Cutting the episodes about in half. So I was able to kill a few episodes where I might have only been able to kill one. The other thing is especially nice if you're trying to watch a particular match on an old pay-per-view. You can just scroll. You hit play, scroll down, swap it to the new match, and it goes. The other thing is, like I've said, I use primarily a Roku device to watch the WWE Network. On Roku, the old design was bad. And this design, as bad as clunky as it is probably still better. The fast forward and rewind on the old Roku design was absolute dog shit. Where now you actually can see where you're fast forwarding to and where you're going. You could not on the old Roku one. It was terrible. You couldn't skip. There were no skip to matches on the old Roku. There are now. So it is getting better. Now the question is, what content are we getting to replace NXT? Time will tell.
I can't believe you just spent however much time you just spent explaining to people how to use the fucking WWE Network.
Did I really?
Yes!
Oh. I'm saying why. I'm giving you the reasons, though, because we talked about it last week of how much we hate it. There are some reasons to make it better, and then obviously finally getting some explanation as to why the WWE Network changed.
Why wouldn't they just come out and be transparent about that?
I don't know. I really wish... Sometimes it's one of those things you wish they would.
Is there a new season of Transparent out?
I've never seen that show.
No, not Transparent. What am I thinking of? Atypical.
Oh. The new season of Atypical dropped a while ago.
What?
Yeah. I actually still haven't watched that show yet. I've heard it's great.
Love it.
So you just segued to Netflix, so I guess we should get into it.
All right.
So
Warning, spoiler.
Yes, if you have not,
Proceed with caution.
if you are
Warning,
planning on watching
warning.
Glow,
Spoiler.
you haven't watched Glow yet,
Proceed with caution.
there
Warning,
will
warning.
be spoilers from
Warning.
here on out.
You can't say we didn't warn you.
Yes.
Warning.
So
Spoiler.
before we get into,
If you haven't already turned it off, and you don't want to be spoiled, turn it off.
So before we go into it, for the most part, overall impressions of this season.
Okay, so this is my thing. When it comes to anything, when it comes to a play, when it comes to a movie, when it comes to TV show, I am a plot guy. And overall, I thought this season was a little light on plot. And Margaret and I talked about it while we were watching it. I tried to get her to come in and talk about it, but she's busy. I thought that this was a little, and she put it perfectly, this season was a little bit more of a character study, I thought. There was a lot of character-driven episodes and kind of themed episodes, because there were a lot of episodes about relationships and episodes about, health and things like that, which are abso-fucking-lutely huge themes in professional wrestling, health and relationships, and those are themes in life, but they applied those to wrestling. So overall, I think I enjoyed it. That being, I did enjoy it. I don't want to say I didn't enjoy it, but I do have to say I think it's probably my least favorite season.
Okay, so that's going to be interesting because your view is kind of completely contrarian to mine. I thought this season was amazing. I felt the wrestling aspect of it, this is the least wrestling heavy season they've done so far.
And that was actually something surprisingly that Margaret, that was one of her biggest complaints about it.
That it was the least This is by far the least wrestling.
Yeah.
This is definitely a much more character-driven, story-driven season, like you said. A lot about relationships, and I think one character in particular that we finally got some payoffs on, and their arc that they took. I thought your big name people held steady.
Yep.
They shined. Obviously, I've put this out there. This is probably going to be the third season where Mark Maron will once again be denied an Emmy nomination for whatever reason.
So, you think?
Oh, I think Mark Maron should have been nominated for an Emmy on season 1. I think he should have been nominated for an Emmy on season 2. I still think he should have been nominated for an Emmy on season 3.
I don't. Yeah.
There's another character. I think there's another person.
Yeah, he had some good character stuff this season, but I thought his previous 2 seasons were stronger for his character. I don't think his character had as much to chomp into this season. I mean, I guess the Ruth story was pretty good, but then when you got towards the end of the season,
yeah,
the episode with him and Ruth hanging out in the casino,
which was episode 2.
Was that it? Okay.
Yeah.
You're better at keeping track of that kind of stuff than I am.
I actually got the Wikipedia pulled up. So.
Oh, okay. So episode 2, that was a great episode.
Let's start with episode 1.
Well, can I finish my fucking point?
Go ahead.
I don't want to talk about each episode one by one.
No, I do want to talk about the open though, because the open.
Yeah, that's fine. I thought that other than that, he didn't have a lot to bite into this season, and then towards the end, he just kind of went away, and he became the tag along character in Justine's story.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Obviously, there's almost 2 halves for the for the Sam character in this season.
Yeah.
The first part where he's dealing with Ruth, and then he becomes, like I said, when Justine shows up.
Yeah.
Justine shows up, and she's written a movie script.
Yeah.
Very much inspired by her own life.
Yeah.
And inspired by her not having a relationship and then having a relationship with her father and, you know, being forced by her father to go back to school and all that stuff. And the fact that Sam thinks that this script is absolutely amazing and they take it around, they get it shot. Towards the end, they actually sell the script, and as we head in now, and as we head into season 4, it looks like Sam's attention is going to be divided from Glow as he is going to direct this movie that his daughter has written.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're getting way out of order here, but goddamn, let me just say, if you're somebody who listens to this and who is still listening but has never seen Glow, just watch Glow, because I don't think, if you haven't seen Glow, I don't think for a second that we're going to do a good job of explaining everything that happened.
No, we're
or
not.
making you feel like you watched the show. This is not going to be the John Pollock and Wei Ting episode by episode breakdown where we give you a complete summary of the show.
No, we're not.
And then...
No, we're not. We're going to talk about it in a general sense and what we like, what we don't like in characters. But no, like I said, the Sam character is still my favorite character on the show. I absolutely love Mark Maron in this role. I think I can't think of any. Well, it's always hindsight easy to say when somebody's already played it. You've watched it for 3 seasons. I don't know if there's anybody else that could have played this role any better than he does.
Sure.
He's perfect for it.
Sure.
Crabby, grumpy. He looks the part. And he might have taken again. A lot of that might be the way it was written.
I think it was writing. I don't think it had anything to do with Mark Maron's performance. I think he did everything that he did well, and then obviously you had the cardiac situation.
Yeah, where I had called you, and I kind of gave the minor thing that in this season, Sam develops this. He starts season. You noticed in about episode 2 and 3 that he's coughing a lot, and I was worried it was going to be lung cancer. Well, after him and Justine have a meeting. He sells the script. He actually sends Justine away in his car, tells her to go celebrate.
How fucked up was that?
But I think that's that character. That is that character. He doesn't want to, and he doesn't want to show her.
Is that character, or is that what any man would do?
He doesn't want to show his daughter weakness.
That's what any man would do in that time period.
He sends his daughter away, and says, "Hey, go, take my car, go off and celebrate. I'll get a cab," and then basically collapses to the ground and tells the guy that was just walking by, "Hey, call an ambulance," because he's having a heart attack.
Right.
And I mean, and then still doesn't tell Justine.
Doesn't tell anybody.
No, hasn't told anybody yet about this cardiac event that he's had. Because he is a very strong private character, and B, the fact that he also doesn't want to ruin Justine's happiness.
Yeah.
Because he realizes that this is a moment in his daughter's life that, he doesn't, that he, even though 2 years ago he didn't know he had it, or however, whatever the time frame was on the show, a year ago, whatever, he didn't even know he had a daughter.
Oh, I think it's more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think we're up to about, are we at a year and a half now, maybe 2 years?
No, because they time jumped like 6 months into the season.
Oh, yeah, they time jumped.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're about 2 years in, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, he doesn't want to ruin Justine's happiness.
Right.
So I think that's the big event, I think, for him is what is going to happen. Obviously, whether
they did a great job building to season 2. If they don't have a season 2, they're idiots.
You mean season 4?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do want to go back and talk about the essentially the cold open of the season.
Oh my god.
And I'm already laughing as I talk about it. Okay,
you're a terrible fucking human being.
The second it started, I'm like, oh no. It's one of those moments where the second it starts, you realize what's about to happen, and in your brain you're just going, oh no, don't do this. We kick off. Obviously, time jumped. We're in Vegas.
Yep.
A lot of the girls are watching in their hotel rooms. There is a live news report with Liberty Bell and Zoya the Destroyer Glow is set. They're set for their opening night in Vegas.
Yep.
And they're doing a live promo on the news.
Yep.
Which coincides with a famous historical event of the 1980s. That, as a child, someone who was old enough to remember, I was watching this live in a classroom.
You were watching Zoya the Destroyer, and
no, not that.
I'm kidding.
They're plugging Glow on this news show in Vegas, and then they go to the live shot of the USS Challenger space shuttle taking off into space. And
so
obviously,
were you watching it like before? You were just watching it take off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
like it wasn't like a thing where like
we had a TV in my classroom watching that day.
Okay.
I was in second grade.
Fuck.
Or maybe first grade. I don't remember. Yeah, it was a fucked up day. That is my, because I was out of high school by 2001. That is the day where everything in your classroom just kind of went to shit.
For me it was 9/11. I was in 6th grade.
Yeah. So obviously Zoya, Liberty Bell is playing up her. They're kayfabing.
Yeah.
Liberty Bell is extremely excited and talking about how great they are. And as the shuttle they time it literally perfectly. Zoya, as the space shuttle launches and heads into the sky, starts cutting a promo on the astronauts, talking about Krista McCullough, who was a school teacher, one of the first civilians that was to go up.
Yeah.
Basically she's cutting a Russian anti-American promo, and then the space shuttle explodes.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, and it's one of those things. Oh God, no! Oh no! This is wrong yet so funny at the same time. It's a pretty hilarious open, and then of course throughout the first.
Were you at all disappointed that they didn't really follow up with it?
Well, they had throughout the first episode. The gimmick was that Ruth kept trying to get Sam and Liberty Bell and Bash to like acknowledge it and have Zoya not be be apologetic, and they're like, no, just don't worry about it. Nobody will care. Just go with it. So basically, it kind of created a funny thing for the first episode, but yeah, they never really went back to it. But no, hilarious way to open the show.
Because my initial reaction was, this is the way that she's gonna get a character change.
Yeah. So
season 2 is mostly about kind of the relationships, right?
Yeah. Well,
episode 2 rather.
Episode 2, yeah. They have a day off. We see it opens with a whole bunch of nudity. There's a
lot of nudity.
There was a lot of nudity in this season, and it opened up with a montage of a whole bunch of nudity. Debbie with a rando, Bash and Rhonda.
Yep.
And then the two Ruthie or Arthie and Yolanda are together. And then we get Rhonda gets a migraine, so she's bedridden. Bash goes to talk to who am I thinking? Machu Picchu.
Oh, Carmen.
Bash goes to talk to Carmen. Carmen kind of goes off on him, which obviously, she's like, hey, you can't just come to me whenever, you're having a problem with your marriage and all this.
Yeah.
Arthie and Yolanda's relationship kind of goes sour because Arthie is still not fully comfortable with her now being in a same-sex relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think and this is where this is the character that emerged at this season was Bash.
Yeah.
I mean, it started in season 2, but it really ramps up here.
Well, because at the end of season 2, don't you find out that his butler?
His butler died of AIDS at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
And obviously, we'll just get right into it. It's always been an undertone that Bash didn't know what he was. And in this season, as the season progressed, and I believe it was in episode 8, where
the threesome.
The threesome episode.
I think it was 9.
Yeah, it was episode 9. In episode 9...
I watched it today.
Yeah, in episode 9, Bash has a threesome with his wife and another man, a bisexual threesome. And then in episode 10 is dealing with the fallout, basically, essentially.
What's a bisexual threesome?
It's bisexual. Well,
is there a way to not have a bisexual? I mean, the only way to not have a bisexual threesome is to have a full gay threesome.
Oh.
Right? Because, I mean, if there are 3 people,
But
at least 2 of them are going to be the same gender.
To think of, Margaret, help me out here.
Okay.
Margaret came into the room literally at the perfect time to say.
We're gonna ask the bisexual how this works.
No, I'm trying to explain to him that in a well, I guess technically, is it really a threesome if you have?
You don't even know.
I'm saying like a bisexual threesome. If it's a true threesome and all 3 people are interacting.
Are we talking about the episode?
Let me finish.
Okay.
He called it a bisexual threesome, and I'm saying, if it's a true threesome and all 3 people are interacting with each other sexually, unless they're all 3 the same gender, at least one of them has to be bisexual.
Well, no, you can usually get. It still counts as a threesome if there's 2 people involved, but the 2 of the same sex don't interact with each other.
But what's a bisexual threesome?
What I meant by that is Bash. In this case,
Bash was interacting with people of both. Yes.
Bash is not bi. Bash is gay.
Do we know that for sure?
If Bash was bi, he would still be interested in Rhonda. Remember how she says they haven't had sex in months. He's not interested in her until there's a man.
Oh, that's right, because there is a time jump between episode 9 and 10. I forget that.
If anyone is going to be bi, and it still annoys me to no goddamn end that she was not, they didn't, go through with it, it would be Artie.
Yeah.
And that that made me so angry. That made me dislike Yolanda.
I forget there is a significant time jump also between episodes 9 and 10. And yeah, she says after him having his first man-on-man contact, they haven't had sex. So Bash is coming to grips with, obviously, it's one of those things that...
He's coming to grips with shit.
Well,
no, he's not. He's in complete denial.
He's in denial, but we now know what...
We now know that
he knows.
What
are you talking about now? We've known for entire seasons.
We know that he knows.
We know that he knows that the undertone...
You'd be surprised how long you can lie to yourself in face of some pretty queer thoughts.
But keep in mind, it was also... And again, we also have to keep in mind, we're looking at this in 2019 eyes. This show is set in the 80s. And in the 80s, that would have been a much bigger deal for someone.
Especially,
crime episode.
I mean, let's look at... What did he say to Debbie when he, after it happened, he said, "I don't want to die."
Yeah, because he's afraid of
AIDS.
Yeah, because in
the height of the AIDS crisis.
Yeah,
right.
You're at the height of the AIDS crisis.
And also his
butler.
What would have been his
probably. I mean, maybe lover.
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. I think the threesome. I think was the first time he had man-on-man contact.
Well, then someone he had,
but still had a non-sexual romantic relationship with.
Yeah, was still romantic with, if not sexual with.
Yeah.
Because that's when you first figure out that oh crap, he's.
Yeah. And I'll actually say I think this season, I've always talked about Mark Maron. I think Chris Lowell deserves an Emmy nomination this season. I really do. I think the way he. The stuff with
it was
Bash,
probably his, that was
especially
like
episode 10 where the conversation with Debbie.
His breakdown with Debbie was the best scene of the episode.
And he doesn't know what to do. And then obviously...
I'd argue it was one of the best scenes of the season.
It was. I think... Alex and I were talking about this. I actually love the in-depth character study stuff, so I loved this season, and he wasn't as much for it because it was really light on wrestling.
Well, that was the first
No, I would say it was light on plot.
It had certain plots, but it was more
overarching plot. It was a lot of episodic plot.
You could tell. You could almost tell. Okay, this is the plot where we talk about relationships. This is the plot where we talk about
health.
Health. This is this is the plot where we talk about genocide of people groups. This is the one.
Well, there was
that desert episode. Gosh darn.
Yeah, what did you think of the desert episode, Regal?
Honestly, the desert episode I think is probably the best written episode they've ever done.
I loved it so much.
That one I give to the writers. There is some amazing character. You see so much amazing character development pretty much
It's the first
all
time,
of the female characters.
It's the first time you see Melrose being serious.
Yeah, you see Melrose be serious.
And
see
her...
Jenny gets a lot of good character
Yeah.
development in that episode.
And even, I was actually surprised because the two, I still don't remember their names. That's the first part. They play the biddies.
Yeah.
They actually got some semi-character development because they start out with the one, it makes some homophobic comment towards Yolanda, how when they switch up, how she doesn't want to be in a tag team against her because she doesn't want, the lesbian to touch her because, we'll be on top of each other. And then at the end of the season, gives Artie a rainbow headband in honor of...
And a Playboy.
Yeah.
I mean, as a queer woman, I wouldn't be offended by that.
Also, that is this season another person who you talk about Emmy nominations. In that episode, Gail Rankin, the character, the Sheila.
Oh, but so you gotta give me character names.
The arc of Sheila.
My favorite.
Where Sheila, sheds the image that we've known her as and becomes this other thing.
The thing I like, I guess, is that she doesn't totally turn quote unquote normal either. It's not like, she's cured of her weirdness now. She's just learned that she has to mold her weirdness to get what she wants in life and not be so stringent on one aspect of her identity.
And I think she throws the wig away and she burns it, and I think that is the becoming comfortable in her own skin.
Yeah. I also love her. I was like, of all the people becoming BFFs with a drag queen, I would not have picked Sheila, but it works. I loved that subplot, and I'm so hoping they find a way to work him into next season.
Oh, I absolutely think he will. He's coming back.
Although, can we talk about the one thing that Bash super fucked up at the end? He pulled all his money out, and Rhapsody collapsed at the end with all of the showgirls lost their jobs.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just kind of had a thought. Regal.
What?
Where did the AWA do their TV tapings in the 80s?
Vegas?
Yeah.
But wasn't the whole point is he doesn't want to be in Vegas anymore because if he stays there, he'll fall back on sleeping with men? Wasn't that the whole point of them leaving in the first place?
That's kind of
that he wants to leave. He doesn't want to be in Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, they could always have Bash be in California and the show could still be taped in Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I don't know.
I mean, they're gonna. I almost think they have to bring it back to Vegas because you can't keep having one foot in Vegas, one foot in Los Angeles. Because I don't think they're gonna drop Sam and Justine's plotline.
No, I think
they probably need to get back to LA.
Yeah, they need to bring the whole cast back to the same place
well,
again.
And I think you're gonna see, obviously, whether and like we touched on Carmen, her story arc this season of her being essentially the one real wrestler. And deciding along, through her brother's influence, played it very well for the couple of scenes he was in by Carlito. Showed some pretty.
It wasn't like he had any fucking.
Yeah.
The one
he
scene,
just acted like a wrestler telling his sister she should wrestle.
I will give him credit for that one scene the one scene where he has to act, where he legitimately shows concern for her and says, "Hey, why don't you come on the road with me? He says, you're a real wrestler. You're better than this. You can come on the road with me and be a real wrestler." And, at the end, that's what she tells them she's going to go do. And essentially the whole final plot point is as they're leaving Vegas, they all scatter to the wind.
Yeah.
I think the idea is, though, the only two Carmen definitely leaves, and then Ruth might. But that's been a might before.
And I think the plot point is going to be now when this network starts, now Debbie and Bash, they've got to try to pull all these people back in who have all these separate issues in their life. And
I could see a turnover in cast, though.
I think you get a little turnover, especially with some of the minor characters. Obviously, and you get those characters that are only around for a season, i.e. this year Gina Davis's character I thought was a lot of fun.
Here's my question, though. What are they doing? Because she mentioned that they have to come up with all new characters.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a smart plot move because, the characters within the show, like the fiction of the fiction,
Yeah.
are also really popular. Like, you can get Liberty Bell and Zoya, like, Funko Pops.
Yeah.
So I don't think that permanently making new characters... Like, I legitimately, for all its stupidity, I love, like, the whole ultra-American versus ultra-communism of those two.
And the thing is, as we talked about in previous Glow reviews, all those characters, even though they're essentially made up for the show, they're archetypes that the real Glow actually had.
Yeah, I think Alex and I watched the documentary on
Yeah.
Netflix, and we were, like, trying to match up, okay, these two. Like, I think Machu
Picchu was Mount Fuji.
Yeah, Mount Fuji and Machu Picchu were the same. There was a tag team of old ladies. Her name wasn't Zoya, but there, like, Natalia or something, there was a Russian. Like, you can, like, almost match up beat for beat by stereotypes.
Mercedes is Tina Ferrari, aka Ivory.
Yep.
So, like, you can match it up beat for beat, each of the different... That documentary, though. They casted Carmen so well for who she was supposed to portray, because she does have that same genuine, like, sweetheart nature that the original had.
Yeah.
Obviously, there is something I want to ask you.
What?
The back problems of Welfare Queen.
Ooh, very realistic. I liked that.
Very realistic. I'm also wondering, is that potentially to write her out?
No, she's going to become a manager. Were you not paying attention?
Oh, is she? Okay. Well, because I was wondering, I was almost thinking, did they have to do that in case
they're fucking stupid if they don't let her do that show.
Because she is going to be on AEW, so...
They're fucking stupid if they don't let her do that.
No, AEW is going to milk that dry.
If
they're stupid if they don't.
See, I've always said this. I'm honestly surprised that WWE didn't try to... Because they had him at the first Mae Young Classic finale.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised they didn't try to do more with them, and it wouldn't surprise me if AEW tries to.
I think Tamay being a manager is a way to put her in the stories less. Although this season, they would, like, hardcore focus on a couple plot lines and then just ignore it. Like, the one with Debbie meeting Tex for the first time. Was that the one where, like, Ruth was, like, barely in it? Now, of course, Allison Brie was directing that episode, which is probably why. But, like, there have been some times where it's like, these characters just aren't in here, but then they get the focus of, another episode.
We talked about before you got into
That's a good part of having an ensemble cast show.
That's what I love, though, because that was kind of what sucked the first season. I could not remember, like, half the cast's names for the first season because, like, they were never focused on it.
And it wasn't really, and I don't know how much of it was an ensemble cast the first season. It was much more about Mark Maron's character, much more about Allison Brie's character.
Why can't we just use their character names? Because I don't know actor names for Jack.
Ruth, Sam, and then obviously I would throw Debbie. Yeah. Essentially, the first season, you have three main characters.
Yeah.
And then, as we've gotten on, and especially, I think this was the first season where it really kind of did become... You couldn't tell
who was supposed to be the main
it really did become a true run. So obviously, Allison Brie, Mark,
But again, there was an entire episode she was barely
Sam,
in. Well,
because she's again, if you're directing the episode, you're not...
Well, yeah, but that's the point. Like, the plot...
I've seen...
The episode didn't crumble because one of the big three wasn't there.
I'll throw the Star Trek: The Next Generation analogy on that. Whenever Jonathan Frakes would direct an episode, Commander Riker would have to go to Starfleet Academy for a meeting or something. It would be in, like, the first scene and the last scene. So... No.
Although I was going to say, I've seen episodes of Boy Meets World that William Russ has directed where he's still...
Yeah. Speaking of directing, I was really annoyed at the way Debbie phrased it at the very end. Because, like, it was an ingenious solution to a lot of problems, but then she had to go and, like, phrase it the way she
pitched it was insulting.
Yeah. Did we mention how that goes? So at the very end, when Debbie offers Ruth to be the director of the television network, which would have suited her because what Ruth directed in the beginning was fantastic. She has an eye for it. But rather than being like, hey, remember that mall shoot you pulled out of nowhere when we were floundering? Remember when you pulled it all together? How would you like to do that? Instead, she's like, hey, you're such a shit actress. You need to get out of that line of work immediately. Be a director.
Well, so here's the thing, and I think that's part of it. This is part of it. Is people forget Debbie's still kind of a shitty person.
After her comment about Ruth's sexual assault and the way she reacted, I despised her last season.
Yeah.
So much. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Debbie's still kind of people don't know, because obviously we've seen character growth, and you want to cheer for this character, but at the same time, she can be a really shitty person.
I think they all can.
Well, I think
we've seen that with all of them.
I think that's part of what makes the show good. Is keep in mind Ruth was screwing her best friend's husband when the show started.
I don't think that was. Oh, you're meaning that's why Ruth. I thought you were saying that's why Debbie said that the way she did. I also think it was because Debbie kind of faced that in her own life because like she's fully focused on being a producer. She's not trying to get jobs anywhere else.
Part of the reasons Sam is such a great character is because he is a flawed human being.
Actually, that's the thing. Alex and I were talking about how like the chemistry. What was it? What did I say? Oh no, the episode where they switched.
Yes.
Oh, we need to talk about that.
The moment where he lifted up his hand and they had more chemistry between each other in that one moment than Ruth with Russell the entire episode.
Yeah. And that was by design. In the one episode where they have Russell come from LA to visit Ruth, where you see a complete disconnect in their relationship, versus the episode that was right before it, where Sam and Ruth are spending a day together, and there is a complete connection.
Oh my god, there's so much
between
chemistry.
the two of them.
The actors were...
Yeah.
I was like, this should be weird, but it's not.
But no, that, as far as the actual Glow wrestling side, the episode where they switch characters in the middle. Episode 5.
Love that one.
They all say, we're just gonna have fun tonight. Let's switch it up. Ruth is Liberty Bell.
She did really well though.
Debbie is Zoya.
Carmen is Welfare Queen.
Welfare Queen.
Welfare Queen is one of the biddies.
Yeah.
One of the biddies is Beirut. I'm trying to think here. Melrose is Fortune Cookie.
Melrose becomes Fortune Cookie and just comes out with a giant Fortune Cookie on her head.
Well, which is how Fortune Cookie came out.
And
that was a huge plot point because that's how Jenny realized how racist her character was.
Yeah, I feel like that plot line
could
have been better though.
They never flat out say, but is Jenny Vietnamese?
Time-wise, she'd have to be Vietnamese.
Yeah, she's either Vietnamese or Korean.
No, I think she's too young to be Korean.
Oh, probably. Yeah, no, because if she can remember it and she's not above, like... If she's younger than her 30s, it had to be Vietnam. So she's not even portraying, like, her own culture. She's portraying several Asian cultures all
she's portraying
mashed
an Asian
together
stereotype.
at once.
Yeah.
Because it's a kimono and a Fortune Cookie.
So the funny thing is I got a text probably a little over a week ago from my friend Jeanette, who is in the Ringside Chat group, who I have did e-fetting with for years and years. This is someone I've known forever. And she texted me and she goes, "Have you seen Glow yet?" And I was like, "No, not yet." And she goes, "Well, you need to, and when you see it, you need to text me." And I was like, "Okay, is there some kind of inside joke?" And she goes, "Yes." And so I had totally forgotten about this, but when we used to do e-fitting, I did and if you don't know what e-fitting is, this story is not going to be that interesting for you, and I'm sorry that I'm not going to take the time to explain what e-fitting is right now. So we did a thing called...
It's fantasy wrestling,
basically. Basically you come up with your own characters and you write promos for your characters, and there's a creative team, and whoever has the better promo wins the match, and then they write out the shows. Anyways, so I used to do a non-canon tournament every year called the Revolver Handle Tournament, where each handler would enter one or two characters, and then we literally randomized it, and you had to write promos for different people's characters for the tournament. So she literally geeked out and immediately thought of me when she saw this, and I had totally forgotten. But yeah, it was really fun. So when I finally got her, and I was like, I'd forgot that I ran it, because I was like, oh yeah, what did we call that? The face-off tournament? And she's like, no, it was Revolver Handle, and you ran it. And I was like, oh, okay, I forgot.
I loved the episodes where there was wrestling, and as much as I did love the character development, I wish there had been more of that. But I guess, you couldn't have...
Well, the problem was
they were
doing the same show every night, yeah.
Because in Vegas, that's how it works. But then the other thing is, they're like, oh, well, next year we'll come back, we'll have to keep doing the same show. I was like, couldn't you, like, new season, new show? Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you be able to switch her for the new season? That way, people want to keep, the same
Coming
people want
back.
to keep coming back.
Yeah.
Also, can we just talk about how mind-blowingly oblivious Rhonda is, that she still hasn't quite, or at least she hasn't said anything about figuring out that her husband has an inclination towards men.
Do you see? No.
Or is one of those she secretly knows it but like plays dumb?
Oh, I think she's playing
dumb.
At the end
Did you
of the
see
season,
her? Were you looking at her face when he said, "I want to start a family," and she just had this like?
Yeah, but I also don't know, because keep in mind they've had a character have an abortion and Cherry not want to be pregnant, so I didn't know if it was just a continuation of that theme.
No,
because they've already had women not wanting to be pregnant as either not wanting to be pregnant, or the one time when Debbie was high and stated that there are times she does regret having Randy. So the whole women not wanting to be pregnant is a theme for the story. Speaking of that, I hated Keith for an episode because of that. Actually, I hated him for half the season because he says that shit and then leaves. But the whole fact of he talks about how basically if Cherry doesn't want to go through with having a baby, that like he doesn't know if he wants to be with her.
Well, we talk about this all the time. That's one of the number one causes for divorce.
Yeah,
so
but in his case, remember that she even talks about it later. After Cherry miscarries, Keith told her that they were enough. And then apparently was like secretly like harboring these feelings. And it's one thing to say, I want to have kids. And it's another thing to say, I want to have kids in this specific way, and you have to give up your body to do it. You have to give up your career. You have to give up, you need to go through this pain. You need to go through the... Fun fact, in the year of our Lord Cthulhu 2019, chances of dying from childbirth-related causes has gone up. And I can only imagine what it must have been in the 80s.
How's it gone up?
Neglect. Doctors focus more on the babies and ignore the mothers more, especially mothers of color. A black woman is more likely to die from a preventable issue related to childbirth because she's seen as just being overdramatic. Sexism.
See, you learn all kinds of shit on our podcast.
Hey, this is a glow review. You gotta bring up like feminism and Debbie was the walking, talking feminist this season. Don't even at me. Although when she says, "I wish more men would go on vocal rest," that moment was one of my favorites.
I did that scene. I thought was quite funny.
She goes off on him because he can't say jack in return.
I'm just gonna be in your face screaming every single fucking day.
Wish more men would go on vocal rest.
What did you think of the Tex relationship? Because I thought that was.
I liked it at first.
It was weird.
I think the problem is that what he did made sense to a certain extent, and what Debbie did in response made sense. The problem is that they didn't build up to that. So Texas starts out being kind of like a good old boy, but he's not really from Texas, and he's divorced, so he's not really that old-fashioned. And he's chill with, her being a divorced mom and all that. And then, of course, there's the episode at the AIDS charity ball where he's like, I had a nephew and they basically said his nephew was gay and died of AIDS. And so he's donating a ton of money to AIDS research. And you're like, oh, awesome, good dude. And then, literally the next episode, he's like, oh, your little old woman brain doesn't need to get involved with my business. And I was like, okay, you need to build up to that reveal.
Yeah, but I do think that makes a point that people have a hard time, seeing in 2019 is, people are like, oh, you're either woke or you're not. But it's like, no. Just because you're not a homophobe doesn't mean you're not a misogynist.
Well, not to that extent, but that was the general overview, was every step of the way was, look at how, progressive he is, look at how progressive he is, and then at the end,
he's
suddenly slammed at being a sexist, and she immediately turns, vicious. And it's like, yes, don't get me wrong, I loved that she snatched the deal out right from underneath him. That was awesome. But, I would have liked a slight more hinting at it, because he was always very supportive of her being in charge and being a producer. So, at least do something in the kind of, oh, it's okay for you to get involved in, silly showbiz, but this is real business, or something.
Yeah.
Because he'd been so okay with her being a producer and being in charge earlier, and then it seemed like, oh, now when we need them to break up, now he's a misogynistic asshole.
Right.
We need you to like him now, and now we need you to dislike him, so here's a shift.
Speaking of the AIDS episode, how bomb was Sheila's monologue?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I
So
love
good.
Sheila. She's always been my favorite. I always go for the weird ones in stories, but her progression this season has been fantastic, and her being better. It speaks to how well Alison Brie is of an actress, that she can be a bad actress, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because, she can have all those incredible scenes as Ruth, and then suck as Ruth trying to act.
Yeah.
But no, I love Sheila and everything. I love her relationship with Ben. I love Ben. I want Ben to still be around.
I have to think they're gonna find some way to get Ben onto season
Even if he
4.
just comes to visit Sheila and ends up being like a ref or something.
Yeah.
Or Bash is gonna be the owner of a fucking network. They
But
might
Bash
need a new
didn't
ring
want
announcer.
him before because Bash doesn't want reminders of his queerness.
Yeah.
Remember the
Yeah.
whole Ben sings an entire song called "Say Yes" and Bash says no.
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
That. Yeah.
Bash doesn't
that,
want to be reminded that he's gay.
that scene. I think that scene kind of goes understated the season. Yeah. He literally sings a song called "Say Yes," and then the first words out of Bash's mouth is
No.
No. Yeah. And the thing
then the scene
and the
afterward-
the preface to this is the fact that Bash is literally hiring anyone and anything, a sword
But
swallower,
won't
a juggler, a
hire
magician,
drag queen
but
because
wouldn't hire a drag queen
he
because
doesn't want the queerness.
yeah.
Oh, so it's one of those things where it's like it's totally realistic and it makes total sense, but also I'm screaming at him to come out of the closet.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so
Overall, I think like I said, not my favorite season because I'm a little bit more of a plot guy, and I didn't feel like there were really any multi-episodic plots this season. But the Cherry and Keith, yeah, but that was like a deep
good. And
plot at
Sheila's
best.
and really, I think that.
But Sheila's transformation didn't really go anywhere.
Yes, it did. It come to her realizing she's a fantastic actress.
Okay.
I think I see this as point A to point B season where now they don't have to focus so much on character development. You know where everyone's at, and now they can go hardcore into plot with all well-developed pieces in place. Because they did not have well-developed characters. The majority of them were not well-developed for 2 seasons, and the only way you were going to rectify that was by dedicating an entire season to developing everyone.
And essentially, in the character development, you literally did the majority of that in one or 2 episodes, and that is and that one episode being the camp out episode, and that I think that I will say again, best written episode of the entire series.
Yes.
Was this the shortest season?
No, they've all been 10 episodes.
I think this one was
But
the
I
shortest
I
length.
think if you add up the minutes, I think
episodes.
this is the shortest season.
There was one episode that was
I-
like 24 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like in previous seasons, all the episodes were like at least 40
Actually, I
minutes.
take that back. Reggie hasn't gotten any real character development either.
Who?
Reggie,
Oh, no.
the original Liberty Bell,
Yeah.
who was like, wasn't she like actually an Olympian? Wasn't that the shtick? And then they made Debbie try on her medals for the promo.
Yeah, I think so.
God, I don't remember.
But like Reggie and the Biddies, and even and again, I still don't remember their names, were the only ones that got like next to no character development.
Reggie almost didn't even need to be there this season. Like, literally, I can't even remember her having that many lines this season.
I remember, like, yeah, the most notable moment from her was she wanted to be Liberty Bell in the time where they switched, and everyone's like, no. And then it was this whole big point of, like,
She had a big part in the camping episode.
Yeah, but even then, her big part was utilitarian. She led the
Yeah.
trek. She brought Sheila back. Like,
Yeah.
she was a point A to point B, help other people in their, inner monologue development.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind seeing her get some. I'm trying to think. No, everyone else got some level of development, some level of
Yeah.
growth this season. This season was also much more, like, artsy and visual than other ones. There were multiple
Well, it's
times
in Las
where, like,
Vegas.
No, but I mean, like, low key.
Yeah.
Like, there was the opening of the episode with Tamay when it was just her developing back problems and it was a montage. There was the opening with Ruth taking off her makeup after a show, and that her taking off her makeup was literally like supposed to be the 5-month jump between.
They went from episode 50 to episode 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but those kind of things where it's like, we're gonna really hammer this point home.
But before we get Margaret, we give our review. Where do you rank this season overall in the seasons?
I kind of see it through two different lenses. So for wrestling fans, for people who are wrestling fans and watched it for wrestling, i.e. you two, this one is probably the least of the three. However, for watchers like, I know my older sister watched it. My older sister has watched literally no wrestling. And even she was texting me like, did you see this glow thing? I was like, yeah, we've already watched the entire first season. By the time she texted me, this season will probably be ranked higher for them because this is it's a normies season. It's a
honestly, the
casual
lack of
fan
wrestling
season.
didn't even really bother me. What bothered me was the lack of plot.
No.
There was plot. It was just 90% subplot.
And I will say this: obviously, the wrestling backdrop got me into the show to begin with. They could have had not a single wrestling scene in this season, and I don't think I would have cared.
The thing
I'm
is,
invested
Because I've become invested in the characters and their stories.
plots.
Yeah.
There was no overarching plot.
Yeah, but
It was each character had a plot, and which kind of is what happens when you're focusing on an ensemble cast.
sure.
And honestly, like, the problem was, what kind of plot would you have given them? They have a contract with the Vegas show. Would they have suddenly tanked in the ratings and have to make drastic changes to the show? Like, there wasn't much you could do. It wasn't like, another competing Vegas show was going to be a rival like they could do with a TV show moving forward. Like, what overarching plot were you going to have when the show was kosher for a year?
There wasn't an overall. Whereas in each of the first two seasons, you had an overall wrestling plot. There really is no overall wrestling plot to the season. But I think if you're like us and obviously it's a Netflix show, if you start from season 1, watch season 2. I think by the time you get to season 3, and obviously with it becoming more of an ensemble, I think you've become emotionally invested in these characters enough that the wrestling is secondary to what these characters are going through in their lives.
Oh, I think if you're still just watching this for the wrestling,
You're out.
why? Like, what's the point?
If you're watching,
go watch actual wrestling.
Yeah, if you're no, I think the wrestling helps. Speaking of wrestling TV, did you see their Stars is developing a wrestling TV show?
Yeah, Stars.
Called Heels.
Starring Stephen Amell.
Yeah, starring
well, I mean, if you were gonna get a legit, TV actor and wrestler, Stephen
Amell's been in the ring twice now.
Twice, yeah. SummerSlam and...
I'm honestly surprised that we haven't seen more involvement from him with AEW yet.
Did you see him basically ask Cody to work on the show?
Yeah.
He tweeted Cody and said, hey, you want to help me with this?
So, and I'm guessing with Stephen, with Amell, if he's going to be the lead, I'm going to guess AEW probably going to have some involvement in that show for Stars.
Oh, sure.
You'll probably see a lot of guest stars. Cody, definitely Christopher Daniels is a possibility there.
There were less guest stars this season too. I
Yeah.
guess the most guest stars was like in the first couple episodes of the first season.
Yeah, Carlito really being the only wrestler. No new wrestling guest stars. Carlito really the only wrestling
And
guest
next
star.
to none even named dropped.
Yeah.
I remember like the one time you even hear like regular names dropped, and it was all by Carmen every time it happened, was like when they decided to make Tamay a manager. She starts name dropping all of these managers.
Yeah.
And then when they're playing MASH, which I loved that, when Carmen and Rhonda were playing MASH in the car, that old game, she says Macho Man Randy Savage is one of her 4 picks for a husband.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, literally the only actual mentions to real world wrestling of the time period outside of it was all by Carmen. So they didn't even,
I don't remember there being a ton of wrestling references in previous seasons, though.
Well,
were there?
season 1, you got the big montage with where Ruth is watching the various wrestling clips.
yeah, like remember, like there was a montage where like Ruth and they go to a show.
Yeah,
that's where Debbie realizes that it's a soap opera.
And
they practice wrestling in a ring with Carlito.
And that
what's
show,
his face?
and that
Chavo.
show in season 2 takes place at the where PWG used to run. The Reseda.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the episode. This was the most removed from
That was
the
in
world of
season
wrestling.
1, wasn't it?
That was in season 1.
Yeah, with Joey Ryan
Yeah.
and...
Oh, but did you know, and I completely forgotten this, the venue, the final match of season 1 it takes place in?
Yeah.
That is the Globe Theater. That is where PWG runs now.
Oh, okay.
I completely forgotten about
Makes
that.
sense.
That is where PWG is actually now running, is the Globe Theater.
I already have an idea of what they're going to do moving forward. Because now that they got all this character development, so they're going to go to a TV show, and that's going to have, like, trying to get a TV network off the ground and going is going to come with a slew of problems. I am, like, 90% sure Tex is going to come back as
Evil.
some kind of antagonist.
Yeah.
We've got all of the nonsense. Ruth still has to... I don't know if she's going to break up with Russell, but she really should if she was making out with another dude and intending to sleep with him. The least
But if
she
she,
can do for Russell.
doesn't end up with Sam, maybe she goes back to Russell.
Then she needs to be single. If what she had with Russell wasn't enough to keep her from
Sure.
making out with someone else. So Debbie and Bash will probably be the ones heralding the, like, competing one. I could see Carmen ending up being, like, their competition. If you want to bring Carmen into the story but not bring her into the show.
See, I think they're going to bring Carmen back. I think when Ruth doesn't agree to direct at first, I think they get Carmen to come back and direct the show and handle it from like and then when Ruth comes back, they end up coming like, okay, Ruth's going to do the creative and the booking, and Carmen's going to be like the road agent putting the matches together.
The thing with that is, though, then what was the point of having Carmen leave in the first place? Because I feel like if you're going to make this big point of she has a
Because she
mini
didn't
monologue-
want to do the same show every night.
Yeah, but that's the thing where you made this whole point of she wants to leave. She's going to go to Phoenix. She might end up getting booked somewhere else. Like, I don't think you're going to be like, oh yeah, Carmen's leaving now, and at the end of one season, and then the literal next, oh wait, never mind, she's back.
Yeah, that's
She's
gonna.
got to stay away for at least a couple episodes.
Yeah.
And then, like, when they're down in the ratings and at their wits' end, and suddenly, oh my gosh, Carmen, and she's back. It has to be something. At least a couple episodes.
Yeah, okay.
Or else there was no point in having her leave in the first place.
But anyway, obviously, season 3 is great. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. If you haven't watched the show, start at season 1 and
Sorry,
watch
we
it.
spoiled literally the entire thing.
Wait, no, we warned them.
We warned them with major spoiler warning.
Supposed to be like...
And if you obviously we're all gonna sit here and hope and wait with bated breath. No official word yet, but I'm gonna guess it's looking. The reviews on it have been pretty positive, so I'm gonna hope that we're gonna get season 4 sometime. All the seasons have basically come out about this time every year, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna hope we're gonna get season 4 about a year from now. So
They set it up.
Yeah, they definitely did.
Yeah, definitely set it up for season 4. So we'll hope. You know we forgot to do?
What?
We forgot to talk about hot.
Oh, yeah, hot. This Friday night at the Walcott Coliseum,
If
116
anybody's still listening to the show.
East Bryant Street. Hopefully they weren't. Hopefully we should have talked about it before the Glow spoilers.
Yeah, we should have. I completely forgot about that.
What were we? Oh, we were talking about NXT on USA.
Yeah, SCW. Yeah, we'll real quickly just give what we got so far for it.
Like 6 matches announced.
Yeah. SCWPro this Saturday. Come buy some merch from Margaret at the merch table.
You already made sales?
I don't control prices. What are you talking about?
But yeah. So
use the promo code off the chest for a special discount at the merch table.
No, don't say that, because somebody will try to do it. Then Derek Friend's going to be coming over screaming at me, what the fuck you guys giving like promo codes on
And
your
I'm the one
fucking
that
show?
fucking has to explain it to them that it was a stupid joke.
But Alex made a stupid ass joke. If this comes back to haunt us, I'm totally pinning that one.
I'll throw it. Regal said it, Merrick. It was
No.
Regal.
But we got quite a few matches
They
announced
announced,
for
like,
this
6
Friday
matches,
night.
yeah.
For hot.
Hot.
I guess I'll start it off with we have a match of 2 SCWPro originals.
Yeah.
Johnny Wisdom going to take on the
Forgot
Shug.
about that one. Yeah.
We have women's action as Izzy B takes on Blair Onyx.
My first time seeing Izzy B in the ring.
Oh, that's right. You were not at the beer stew. You did not see Izzy B's debut.
No, I did not.
We've got Xander Killen medically cleared to return to action.
Who's he facing?
He's going to be taking on
JP Finger.
Finger.
There's like 7 matches announced, aren't there?
Yeah. probably one of the biggest things on the show, not necessarily a match, but we're going to have the official contract signing.
Yep.
For Travis Titan and Joe Asa.
Yep.
As they get ready for their match at the 16th anniversary show.
I'm sure that will be civil and non-violent.
Nothing, Margaret, I don't know what you mean. Nothing bad ever comes of a contract signing at a pro wrestling show. Nobody ever tries to throw anybody into the table or throw a chair at somebody.
I hope I'm not in the ring for that.
Oh, I'm going to make sure you are.
You don't have that kind of swing.
I'll talk to people. But, yeah, they're going to sign the contract for their match at the 16th anniversary show in September at the Rust Belt with Sergeant Slaughter on the show.
Ho! No. Listen here, maggots.
Go, Joe. Let's see, what else? We just had a couple of them that were announced here.
Crotch versus JT Energy.
Oh, yeah, Crotch going to be taking on JT Energy. Hope he kicks him right in the mouth.
Big match, Ja taking on the returning Jamie Hall.
Oh, yeah. The man from Big Daddy's Plantation. And just announced the returning Alex Taylor.
Oh, yeah?
Taking on Mason Beck.
I'm excited. I don't think I've ever seen Alex Taylor live
really?
Before. No.
You not? Oh, Alex Taylor.
Maybe a long time ago.
Alex Taylor, great young athletic kid. Been wrestling very heavily in the Tennessee area. Working... I've seen a lot of his stuff. There's a lot of his stuff on the High Spots Wrestling Network.
Really?
NGW. Oh God, what's the other company down there that runs? I can't think of. Do or Die. It's the one that Crimson from TNA runs.
No fucking idea.
But no, there's a couple of them down there that are on the High Spots Network that he is very heavily featured at. Very athletic kid. I'm always happy when Alex Taylor's here, and I always love when big old Hoss from Georgia shows up. One Jamie Hall. So, a couple guys coming back for the show. This is our last Walcott show at our home base before the anniversary show.
That's right.
So this is something if you definitely want to get yourself there. $10 gets you in the door this Saturday night in Walcott, Iowa.
Yep.
Don't miss out on that. Next week on the show, we're going to be previewing, Alex.
What?
It's All Out Weekend.
Oh.
We're going to drop this show the day before I leave.
Oh.
To head for Chicago. I'm going to be at StarCast.
Yeah?
I'm going to be at Black Label Pro at Game Changer Wrestling. Presents 2 Cup Stuffed.
Wow.
I'm going to be at All Out.
I kind of want to go to that, but I also only want to go to that.
And the problem for you is that show starts at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
That show is not going to get done till 1:30 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah. The problem is I feel like anybody that's going up there is going up there for the whole weekend.
Yeah. You know who I'm going to be hanging out with at the Black Label Pro 2 Cup Stuff show? Our fellow Slam Famer, Gary Freeland.
Oh, yeah, he is part of Slam Fame, isn't he?
Yes, part of Pure. We haven't had a Pure Regal. It's been tough to get. Me and Gary have unfortunately very conflicting schedules.
Yeah.
So we haven't done a Pure Regal in a few months. But it is not dead. It is.
I want daily G1s next year.
God damn it! You gonna pay me some money? You gonna give me some ads? Because that's the only way I'm doing that. I
mean, I'll let you keep the podcast. I'll let you continue to have a podcast feed to put it on.
I mean, that is great.
I guess you did help pay for the podcast this year.
Yeah. I need to sell, like I said, we need to sell some ads if I'm going to do daily G1 updates.
Well, you need to find someone that wants to advertise.
If you want to advertise on the Slam Fam, definitely hit us up.
That's going to work.
Hey, I'm just saying, somebody might hear that. You never know. Hey, Cody, Tony.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Conrad.
Yeah, Conrad. If you guys are out there listening to the show, you want to advertise on our show, hit us up.
Hey, I think the FBI still listens to this. If you want us to sell Trump steaks or something, we'll do that.
Trump steaks?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, God, Trump steaks. But no, we'll preview all that stuff. Even though I'm not going, we'll probably maybe we'll talk a little Lynham. The Lynham Memorial going on. We got Warrior Wrestling and Rise going on Sunday. There's a lot of wrestling. I really wish I could have stuck around for the Rise show.
Yeah.
Because that show looks like it's going to be a hell of a deal. They're doing the Rise Midwest Regional Tournament. featuring some friends of ours.
Yeah.
So, were you still being mean to my good friend Blair Onyx the other day, by the way?
I've never been mean to Blair Onyx.
You constantly say she's mean to you, though.
She is mean to me!
She just told you to shut up.
And she called me a name.
Yeah, she did. She's friendly to me.
What? Follow me on Twitter at OneRealSmartAlex. Follow Margaret at Margaret Adelle. Follow Regal at Bells in a Cell.
No. Follow Regal at SCWPro444. If you haven't, again, if you're still listening to this, if you just heard us talk about Glow, if we didn't inspire you to go watch Glow, I don't know what's wrong with you. Go watch Glow if you haven't watched it.
Right. We're at an hour 40.
Don't go on Twitter and talk about all the cosplay wrestlers you hate.
Fuck Jim Cornette. I'm ending with that. Fuck Jim Cornette. Fuck Jim Cornette. Fuck Jim Cornette. Fuck him. Fuck Jim Cornette. Fuck him.